Today's episode of the Chronicles of George is a little long. You need a snack and a refreshing beverage. It's going to be good. Also, let's talk a little bit about Evelyn. In the previous series, in the previous episode, I mentioned that George was crying into his Hennessy bottle, and that made people's ears perk up. Oh, George is black. And somebody asked me if Evelyn was black. So I asked Miss Sassy. But before I go too deep into the Chronicles of George for today, I do want to remind us all that I have a new book available for sale called Ashy Men Will Make You Fat, a petty self-help guide. It's available at bourbonbougieshop.com. That is Ashy Men Will Make You Fat, a petty self-help guide. Help avoid a George at bourbonbougieshop.com. Now, let's get back to the story. So if you have been following the story, you know that Miss Evelyn is on her emancipation vacation. But we don't know a lot about her because this has all been being told secondhand. So I asked Miss Sassy, is Evelyn black? And this is what Miss Sassy says. Yes, Evelyn is a beautiful, black, successful, intelligent woman. She is in the Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority. She lectures at colleges and career seminars. So basically, George is a total moron. So that is a little bit more about Miss Evelyn, and George fumbled the bags. If you've been following the series, you know that he has cheated on Miss Evelyn, even having a mistress. And a mistress means that was a longer affair, to the point where he even tried to call the mistress when Evelyn left him. Now let's get into the actual juicy story. This one is entitled The Chronicles of George, Miss Evelyn, the piano, and the boss, because the boss of the whole job makes an appearance here. Okay, so this is what Miss Sassy says. She says, I'll have a further update. This is saucy. George is not working today. He's supposed to be working remote, but I needed approval to spend a large amount of money for supplies and didn't get it. I had to go directly to one of the owners, my boss, for approval. That's where we discovered George is A1. However, Mr. Fabulous and one of the other guys informed us George is going through with his initial plan to put the items his wife requested in the divorce in storage, and is actually saying he will be selling some stuff because he's so mad she won't be coming home or back to him. This whole time, he really thought there was a chance that she would have her little fun on vacation and realize she misses him and come home and withdraw the divorce filing. But somehow he discovered Evelyn has hired her own real estate agent to buy her own home. Along with seeing her kiss another man, he is losing it. My boss was frustrated. He got up, grabbed his keys, and made a call. They're going over to George's house to try to intervene. I told my boss he can find a storage facility, list his wife's property online to sell, but can't hire a plumber or find a laundromat. My boss was smiling and shaking his head. Please don't tell him that. Not anyways yet. Starts laughing a little bit. You'll make it worse. He told us he will be back, doesn't know when exactly, but today. He told our office manager, the older black woman I told you about before, to hold down the fort. She just sat at her desk and shook her head and said, Let's see what happens. Now, at this point in the series, I am sure that you are all thinking, this could be a sitcom. I know you're thinking it because many have said it. And I know that some people's creative juices are going, because I'm sure you can sit there and you can see kind of a receding hairline from the boss. You can see him being frustrated. You can see the older lady with the smirk. You can see Miss Sassy being nosy, Mr. Fabulous being fabulously nosy. I'm sure you can see it all because I'm envisioning it all as I'm reading these. Let's get back to the story. Let's see what happens. There is a lot of updates in this. So I tell Miss Sassy, this is crazy that so many people are involved. She says, yep, like I said, George is the gift that keeps giving. I just heard he's trying to contact Evelyn to tell her he's putting her grandmother's piano in the yard if she doesn't come home, and it's supposed to rain. Just a hot, steamy mess today. I then asked Miss Sassy, does she or the daughters know anything about this series that I have going on? And she says, yes, the youngest one does. She's actually friends with my daughter. I don't know if she told her sisters, but she's upset about the divorce. That's understandable. She's mad at the way her mom went about leaving. However, she's fully aware of how her dad is. She's fine with it as long as you don't use anyone's real name and you're not, so she's okay. So all of y'all know I have created all these names outside of Mr. Fabulous. They gave me that name. Okay, intermission is over. We're coming back from commercial break. The boss is at George's house. Let's see what happened. Anyways, my boss will not be coming back. He had to go to the emergency room. George tried to get a hold of his wife. Somehow he spoke on the phone with one of her travel friends. They were at the restaurant. George heard men in the background and his wife laughing. He heard his wife say, "Just hang up. I'm not speaking to him. We will communicate through our attorneys. I'm not coming back until after the 15th of September." George flew into a rage, broke all of their wedding china, just smashed it outside on the side of the house, bent and cut up her favorite silverware set, just cut the utensils with some damn bolt cutters. Someone from his lawyer's office came by to plead with him to stop all of this, and he started throwing things at him. The poor guy ran. Then he tried to push his wife's grandmother's piano out the door. My boss went on the other side, tried to push it back in the house. George pushed as hard as he could and smashed my boss's foot. One of the neighbors saw and they went over to help. George was crying again, punched the piano, but they got it back in the house. Then an ambulance showed up for our boss. That's all I know for now. I told the office manager I'll head over to the ER to check on our boss. I'm leaving now. Give me a few hours. And as you can see, she told me all of this stuff yesterday. And she says, "Oh, yeah, if you haven't figured out, I'm going to see my boss in the ER to find out more details. He's got his family and people who care about him, but I'm going to give added support." Like I said, Miss Sassy is being an integral part of this series, y'all. She is really providing me all of this information. Now, for suspense, for the sake of suspense, I know what happened. I know a lot more, a few more details because Miss Sassy did go to the ER and she did come back later on that evening and tell me the details. But I want to keep you guys in suspense. I want to make sure that you come back and check in on my page later. Not going to say later today, maybe tomorrow. So you guys, in the meanwhile, drop your stories of George's. Are you going to support a George? Do you know a George? Have you encountered one of these people? Drop the details in the comment section and like, comment, share.